Bonjour, French one. This is your Chapter 6 notes all about lunch and dinner vocabulary for both food and drink items. We're going to start by talking about the sequence of a French meal. Now, this is not for whenever you're just having a random Wednesday night dinner with your family, but if you're going to do it upright and you're going to do all of the courses of the meal, the first thing we need to talk about is out to the left-hand side of your page, all of those words that are underlined, and I put what they mean in English right behind them in parentheses, are the courses of the meal. So they start with the l'entrée, which is not an entree as in a main dish. It's actually the word for appetizer. It means the entryway. It's the entry to your meal. It's the beginning of your meal. So l'entrée is an appetizer. Le plat principal is the main dish. You could have a plat d'accompagnement, a side dish with that, but salad comes after the main dish. It has to do with the fact that back whenever most salad dressings were almost always vinaigrettes with vinegar and oil, the vinegar was thought to help aid in digestion and help break down your main dish. So instead of using the salad as a warm-up or an appetizer, French people use the salad after the main dish to help break down and digest their food with those vinaigrette-style dressings. Le fromage is cheese. Cheese would mean like not that you're eating a whole hunk of cheese, but that you maybe have a small cheese platter with a selection of cheeses to have on maybe crackers or bread. And then finally, after all of that, le dessert is, of course, dessert. So they kind of sequence things a little bit differently with the salad coming after the main dish. And we don't ever have a cheese course in the United States. So that's definitely a new thing. So now that we've talked about that, let's actually start going through the vocab words here. Under your appetizer list, we have some very simple things here. Le pain is the bread. By the way, I'm pausing so you can repeat after me. Les escargots are snails, popular appetizer in France. Tastes like chicken, y'all. Not really, but you should try it before you write it off. It's a good seafood for sure. And then la soupe is, of course, soup. Moving on to our main dishes. This very first one here, it just says ham and cheese sandwich, not literally the words for ham and cheese or sandwich. You'll see that here in just a bit. But a croque monsieur is a special kind of sandwich. A lot of my students every year tell me like it's like the St. Paul sandwich here in St. Louis, and I would agree it's similar. You've got some pictures of it down here at the bottom of your screen. What they do is it's almost like a grilled hot ham and cheese kind of sandwich, and then they top it with what they call a bechamel sauce. It's kind of like a creamy, cheesy sauce on top. It's a sandwich that you almost have to eat with a knife and a fork. Now they have another twist on it, that one in the bottom right-hand corner, and let me get rid of this so you can actually see it here, is a croque madame. So croque monsieur, Mr. in there, croque madame. They'll put a fried egg on top of that sandwich as well. It's supposed to be like a lady's hat as far as why it's the madame and not the monsieur. So we label it as a ham and cheese sandwich, but it's really so much more with the bechamel and the cheese and sometimes the egg. It's delicious. Poisson is the word for fish. I forgot to pause. Poisson. The word for pork is le porc. The word for chicken is le poulet. And now we're getting into some of these sandwiches. We have a sandwich au fromage, which is a cheese sandwich. Literally, it's a sandwich of cheese. Ham sandwich is le sandwich au jambon. A sausage or a salami sandwich, like a summer sausage kind of thing, cold cuts, would be sandwich au saucisson. And then the French word for steak is just le steak. Now, out to the side, you might want to jot this down. Anytime you order steak somewhere here in the States or in France, they're going to want to know how you want it cooked. If you're not even familiar with this in English, I'll kind of explain as I go. Rare means that you still want it bloody or red in the center of your meat. Basically, just the outside bit is cooked. That would be saignant in French. Medium is where you maybe have a little bit of pink in the middle, but you know, it's not still mooing on the plate. So medium done is à point. And then well done is the way I grew up, but I changed my mind later after I grew up. But well done means there is no pink in the middle whatsoever. It is completely cooked through, bien cuit. All right, some other main dishes are feminine ones. L'omelette is an omelet. And before you talk to me about how omelets are a breakfast food in France, eggs are considered to be a lunch or dinner food. I know it was on our breakfast list because as Americans, we consider eggs to be a breakfast or a brunch food. But omelets and quiche, the next thing we're getting ready to talk about here, these egg dishes are actually always on the lunch and dinner menu in France. It's just a different way of of things. You might think it's weird that they eat it as lunch and dinner. They think it's weird that you eat it as breakfast. So quiche is the next one. In French, it's pronounced la quiche. Is this thing that's pictured here. It's basically an egg pie, which I realize sounds gross, but don't think about a sweet dessert thing. Think more like along the lines of an omelet. It's just baked into a pie crust instead. So you have a pie crust. You mix your scrambled eggs with any kind of toppings or fillings you want, usually cheeses, meats. Looks like the one on the right there is maybe broccoli, cheese, and ham. At my house, we do bacon, cheese, and spinach in ours, but it's kind of like an omelet. It's customizable. You pour it in the pie crust and you bake it in the oven, and the egg bakes up all fluffy, and you can literally take a slice of it. So if you like scrambled eggs and omelets, you'd probably like quiche. You can buy them in the frozen food section here in the States, or it's really easy to make on your own as well. Pasta in general is les pâtes. And thank goodness for a cognate, pizza is la pizza. Moving on to our side dishes, there's obviously more than this. We're just getting you started with a few basic words. Vegetables as a side dish would be les légumes, and rice would be le riz. Now, again, we talked about how after that would be the salad and then the cheese platter, and now we're getting into our dessert. First one is what we're going to term a fruit pie, but it's these things pictured down here below. It's a tarte aux fruits. A tart is slightly different than a pie in the sense of it's got a thinner crust and it's kind of more cookie-like and less flaky-like, but they'll put like a cream filling in it and then they'll top it with different kinds of fruit and then a nice glaze on top so that fruit still looks pretty. Ice cream in French is la glace. And then chocolate mousse, which is basically a highfalutin kind of chocolate pudding. It's more airy and light. You can see a picture of it out there to the left, is la mousse au chocolat. Finally, we get into our drinks, masculine drinks. Some of this is a repeat from breakfast, but French people drink coffee with lunch and dinner at times, is le café. Soda in general, not just Coca-Cola, any soda is referred to as le coca. Mint water or water with mint syrup, which is pictured below. It comes bottled, or you can buy it where they add the syrup right there and mix it up for you at the store or at the restaurant rather, is le sirop de menthe. We don't typically have it here in the States, but it's exactly what you would think. It's mint flavored water. Mineral water is l'eau minérale. That EAU word is the actual word for the water part. Water with pomegranate syrup, so it's going to be like a pinkish red kind of color. Again, it's just a flavoring syrup that you can use, is la grenadine. And if you've heard of grenadine here in the States, we have it. It's a pomegranate flavored syrup. It usually gets used for mixed drinks and things like that to flavor them. And then lemon soda. It is not lemonade, even though like lemon soda, kind of along the lines of what 7-Up, Sprite, Sierra Mist here in the States is la limonade. Cool. Then down here at the bottom, a few extra words. The word for lunch is le déjeuner. The word for dinner is le dîner. And the word for a meal in general is le repas. Every now and then you'll see them using them in sentences in your book, and I want you to make sure you know what they mean. All right, that'll do it.